This is Vanathi, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, St.Joseph College of Arts and Science, Autonomous, Cuddalore. This video about my lecture on role and functions of psychiatric social work. So, what is psychiatric social worker? Psychiatric social worker provides individual, family, group social work counseling and other social work treatment intervention to psychiatric hospital patients and assumes primary responsibilities for discharge planning. They may perform psychotherapy and even diagnose mental illness. The psychiatric social workers in inpatient setting often have primary responsibilities for putting together and the discharge plan, and the psychiatric social worker may also employed in outpatient center working with the juvenile and adult. They perform psychotherapy assessment, educate the patients and his her family to make referral as necessary. And the psychiatric social work serve as members of psychiatric treatment team. So members of psychiatric team, psychiatric doctors, nurse, psychiatric social workers, that is a multidisciplinary team, and work with the people facing mental health challenges. Psychiatric social work assists and support patients who suffer from conditions such as depression, severe anxiety, and psychiatric disorder like schizophrenia, mood disorder, or substance related disorder, alcohol dependency syndrome. These are the psychotic disorder. So next, role and functions of psychiatric social worker. A psychiatric social worker helps the mental health professional, psychiatrists, and families of patients in a similar way as counselors and psychologists do. The main job is to assess the patients and develop patient specific plan of care. They also provide therapy or counseling service to patients, as well as help family members to deal with the patients with mental illness. Psychiatric social workers generally interview with the admitted patients, members of families, agency staff, and others. And through the investigation, the range of service needed by residents and their families, plan and develop a social plan of care for each resident and his or her family, which may include direct counseling or treatment provided by the other agency support services. So conduct the individual and group therapy sections and instruct and direct other agency support staff in therapeutic interventions, arrange for service from referral agencies, reviews residents and family social situations as necessary, and modify the social plan of care is indicated. To explain the scope of service to the resident and family as is appropriate, to provide direct crisis intervention service, so to maintain case record and proper reports, participates in development of multidisciplinary plan of care and their reviews. So the patients facilitate develop of interdisciplinary active treatment plans, write monthly summaries of progress towards active treatment goals, and arrange the interdisciplinary reviews active treatment plan periodically. And their role include they explain the treatment plan to the patients and their families, and the psychiatric social worker maintain the patient's records, preparing reports, monitoring progress, and reviews of psychosocial treatment plan. So the psychiatric social workers may also offer individual and group therapy section to patients, the, the mental health staff to therapeutic techniques and intervention, arranging the service from referral agencies to help the patients. So the psychiatric social worker help people who struggling with the mental health problems and cope up with them. The psychiatric social workers provide a counseling service and family members to help them to obtain both financial and medical services. To the psychiatric social work appointed for most the cases mentally ill patients in prison or psychiatric hospital to help him her deal with the psychiatric issues. So some people voluntarily seek help from social workers to learn how they can obtain financially and medically personal assistance. So these are the role and functions of psychiatric social work, and due and duty and responsibilities of psychiatric social work. So these are the duties and responsibilities of psychiatric social work. So first one is a individual evaluation and assessment. Second one is a treatment and discharge plan. Third one is a counseling. Fourth one, documentation of services. Fifth one, licensing functions. So first one is a individual evaluation and assessment. The typical task to develop the patient evaluation quote letters based on the patient's interview and interviewers of family members, friends, other contact in the community, to describe the psychosocial functioning, nature and extent of disability, potentially for rehabilitation, assessment of dangerousness, and identification of resource needed to upon discharge initiate and secure available resource. So assessment is the first one. So assessment means psychiatric assessment. The patients till birth to current problem, they assess their family problem, personal problem, they assess, and our patient mental status examination. These are the assessment, the individual evaluation and assessment. Next one is a treatment and discharge planning. So treatment and discharge planning is a typically task the psychiatric social worker participates as a member of a treatment team to determine eligibility of persons for admission to the institution and identify the community resources as an alternate to admission, work with the treatment team to formulate. So treatment team as a multidisciplinary team, that is a psychiatric doctor, nurse, social workers. These are the treatment team to formulate and pediatrically evaluate of plan of treatment which is an compliance with federal entitlement program. So regulatory agencies to develop and implement discharge. So the treatment is the patient's plan for all the patients for present compliance and blood test and ECT electroconvulsive therapies. If available, they give electroconvulsive therapies to assist the patient's planning return to community and arrange the needs resource for continuing care. The patients identifies, coordinates, and plans for financial needs of patients. Assess the patients is in management of financial resource as needed and act as a patient's advocate in obtaining needed services. So this is a treatment and discharge planning. So Counseling means conduct the individual, family, and group therapy sections to reach therapeutic goals determined in consultation with the treatment team, train students and instructed staff in various therapy techniques. So counseling is a talking therapy that allow the patients to discuss their problems. So the in a peaceful and safe ambitions to exact meaning the counseling might vary among individuals, but in general it is the process where you talk about your issues in detail, either intending to overcome same to explore your thought comprehensively. So there are different format which is a counseling section. They use the process of counseling. So they give psychologists therapeutic techniques. The below the popular counseling formats is people mostly words. The lot of techniques using in the counseling section. So the building and warm relationship and analysis. So analysis means in this stage the professional encourage the speak detail about your problem, rough root of the problems, so seeking a goal. So through the evaluation your problem now comes the significant selection, a goal setting, a plan of action. Is a plan of actions means and the practice to see the results. Suppose public speaking fear, the expert might him to practice so speaking in front of the mirror. This is a just instance. Once you through the plan for desire tensure and to assess your improvement, if if things seem normal, and final stage if not might design something different. So the overcoming the problem and the overcome I mentioned previous points. So follow the plan of actions, the consequence results are taken into the counseling sections. So there are individual patients family members so reach a therapeutic goal determine the treatment team. So next one is a documentation services. So documentation services means to maintain the ongoing documentation work intervention. So the patient's planning and outcome, preparing the report, the patient's assessment, the psychiatric assessment, the patient details, the patient's personal information, age, and address, socio-economical status, the personal details are taken, and personal problem, uh, past history, present history, family history, and pre-morbid personality, school history, educational history. If the patient is married, sexual history, marriage histories. So the patient's detailed uh, explain the preparing report, making necessary entry to the treatment plan to the documents. So liaison functions. So act as a psychiatric social work, community and family liaison by initiating and maintaining the necessary contact with the patient's family, court, psychiatric security review board, district autonomy, human resource agencies, mental health agencies, payroll and probation, personal residential care facilities related to resources and regulatory agencies provide a support and consultation to the community service provides in the form of guidance and counseling to mediate the patients and the family members and complaints data and conduct the studies on program effectiveness, follow up of discharged patients, and the relationship with others. The employee this have daily contact with the patients, relatives of patients, and treatment team members of variety professional to assess the patient's needs, provide the direct patient services, arrange the service to be provided to the patients by others, and the staff, police agencies, court, psychiatric security review board personnel, and security administration, so veterans administration personnel, and the certified residential care facility personnel to provide other necessary services to the patients. And supervision received the employee class work under the general supervision. Work is a reviewed unit program, supervise the social work department, head for conforms the established policies and produce so federal the regulation the current social work standards, the treatment and services being provided to the patients on a daily basis are also reviewed by the treatment team for conformance with the objectives outlined the patient's treatment plan. Thank you.